Hi everyone, welcome to Rendering Teardown section. My name is Simon. Today we're going to deal with this really interesting frontal view of a technology and innovation center. So regarding composition, this is like a really straightforward and quite efficient way of framing an image or framing projects. So basically we're dealing with a frontal view from across a river, and there's a lot of compositing, but whatever. And basically in terms of composition, ratio, placement and things like that, I think it's really it's simple, straightforward and efficient. The thing is, I think we do lack a little bit of foreground, in the sense that this seems completely anecdotal, and I think the main problem we have as well is that the foreground is of a really low resolution compared to the actual building, which is not really, doesn't really make sense, because you should have a really nice definition here, same here, and here it's supposed to be a little less defined and more blurry and things like that. And this sort of actually decreases the impact of the foreground, which could be really interesting because we're dealing with a nice reflection of the building. Since obviously we're dealing with a lot of reflection, it's artificial lighting, it's interesting to have it reflected, but still it lacks this extra bit of depth here. I would actually maybe add a little bit more of the water, could be quite interesting. So I think that's it for the composition. And yeah, maybe it's always in terms of storytelling, it's interesting to have to create a proper foreground with a proper story going on, and say it could be a boat with tourists on it, and taking photographs and looking at this. Basically what I mean is that, by having a better definition in the foreground, you can add details and actually orientate the way your viewer is looking at the image. If this thing were to be a little bit bigger and more in the foreground with a better definition, and with people on it taking photos or doing things that you can actually sort of understand, even without having the proper details, it would sort of recreate something way more interesting than just this low resolution boat going here. So that's the idea. Second thing, and basically it could be interesting, final thought, to actually reverse a usual composition where you would have 2/3 of sky and 1/3 of water, because here the water really has an importance and a weight, interesting weight in the overall image. So it could be actually fun to have it set this way, something like that. I'm not saying it works, but I'm pretty sure it would be quite interesting to try it out. Well, we can actually try it out quickly. So that would mean we would use this guy like that. Well, this is obviously not going to look good, but could be fun. So obviously we would have this guy a little bit bigger here, etc. But giving a little bit more weight to what's going on in here, you see, something like that could actually be quite fun. So you just go like that, do something like that. See the difference? It's quite interesting, I think. I'll keep it that way for the moment, even though it's definitely not like properly done, but I think it could be interesting. So can I maybe keep a little bit more of this, something like that. Second thing we're going to talk about, and this is definitely not something you can avoid, is the fact that there's quite a problem with the way reflections are treated in this image. So it's extremely obvious if you know how it works. So basically here you can see we have this image, and this is the reflection we sort of have from this guy. The thing is, if you have, this is the water plane, this little thing here, we're doing a section here, and the building is there. And since we're looking at the building here from this way, the reflection, we'll first have the reflection of this guy and then have the reflection of this guy. So basically what we're lacking here is the reflection of a wharf. And basically what we're lacking, as you see here, is the reflection of this foreground, not the foreground, but this part. So what we're going to do is we'll take this image here, copy this, and flip it and do it that way. So this would be the first thing to do. Second thing we want to do is, and I'm going to show you how to use the displacement map in Photoshop, which can be quite fun, even though you won't use it oftentimes, but still, it's pretty fun to know how to use it. So the way, because basically the problem we have now is that the waves are obviously going to change the way the reflection is not going to be this sharp and this rectilinear. So what you want to do is basically take this guy here. No, not this guy. This guy. So this, and we're gonna copy it, paste it. So we copied this part here. What we're gonna do is we're gonna duplicate it and into a new PSD file that we're gonna crop to the right size like that and save it as a PSD file, so temporary displace. And here what we're going to do is that we're going to use, so this is the reflection we're dealing with, and what we want to do is to displace it by using the map that is underneath. So what we're going to do is go to filter, distort, displace, and we can let it like that. Click OK, and here we're going to use the PSD file we just created, temporary displace. So yes, and here you can see, obviously this is the the result is completely dependent on the quality of the displacement you're using. Obviously here we're not dealing with a really nice displacement map because it was sampled from this low resolution water here, but still you get the idea of what kind of effect you can have by using just a couple of clicks. So that's the idea. And here we have like a better and more realistic reflection. You still might want to play around with the layer mask, although this is not going to make sense. Yeah, let's keep it to normal for the time being. And final thing I'm going to talk about is the couple of details that, well, it's not even a couple. It's just there's sort of, this is a little bit too, I'd say simple. What you can do if you want to use silhouettes is that instead of viewing like real silhouettes is to actually find like something you like the actual object you want and use a color overlay. But I would strongly suggest never relying on silhouettes, because they always, like, they of course don't look realistic, but the thing is, you, even though you're not like trying to achieve something super realistic, you don't want to have too many different styles, graphic styles, because it's gonna end up being a little bit weird. There are other tiny details that could be tackled, but I don't really have the time in this video, unfortunately. But the rest of it is sort of okay. I think it was more a matter of composition that was maybe a little bit less, like, lacking interest and hierarchy. Here we now have like two secondary subjects and the proper subjects, and this sort of creates a nice hierarchy and a nice way of guiding the look. We also dealt with the reflection that was missing, and that made it completely, like, made it less convincing. And final thing that could be done is to actually take this whole thing and re-reflected it a little bit better, but it would have to be like, it would have to be redone. But that's already been done. It's just that the resolution of the water used was not enough. So you have to be careful to, at least in your foreground and middle ground, to always have really sharp and highly defined or high definition files and cutouts and things like that you're compositing, because otherwise it's always going to look a little bit weird when you have low resolution, high resolution, low resolution, mid resolution. So that's it for today. Thank you guys for having a look at the video, and hopefully you've learned interesting stuff. See you in the next teardown. Bye guys.
New